everyone, this is Olga. Today I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite desserts to make this time of year, pumpkin cheesecake bars. You know what's so great about this recipe? It's easier than making pumpkin pie, it's easier than making a cheesecake, and you don't have to worry about it cracking because guess what? If it cracks, no big deal. You're gonna cut it into bars anyway. No one will ever know. Plus, it's so easy to make, and the best thing is, you can make it ahead of time and bring it with you for Thanksgiving. For this recipe, you're going to need 1 cup of crushed graham crackers. That's about 8 to 10 graham crackers. Or you can also use ginger snap cookies or vanilla wafers. You're going to need 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/3 cup of pecans, 1 tablespoon of sugar. You're also going to need 4 packages, 8 ounces each of cream cheese, 1 cup to 1.5 cups of sugar, depending on how sweet you like it, half a cup of sour cream, 4 eggs, 1 cup of canned pumpkin, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. And of course, I'll have all of the listed ingredient amounts and the printable recipe on olgasflavorfactory.com as usual. Before I start making the bars, I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I also lined a 13 by 9 inch baking dish with aluminum foil and brushed it with melted butter. So first I'm going to start by pulsing all of these ingredients together in the food processor, making them into a crumb mixture and pressing it into the bottom of this baking dish to make the crust. And by the way, pecans are completely optional. You don't even have to use nuts at all if you don't want to, or you can use other nuts. And if you don't have a food processor, you can just put all of these ingredients into a big Ziploc bag, whack it a few times with a rolling pin, and it's good to go. So since my pecans are still whole, I'm gonna crush them first. That way it gives them a head start before I add the crackers. Now I'm just going to add the melted butter and the sugar. And pulse again a few times. And it should look like wet sand, just like that. So now we're just going to dump it out into this baking dish, press it in. And I like to use the back of this measuring cup to press it in. It makes it nice and smooth and easy, and I don't have to get my hands too dirty. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to pre-bake this crust for about 10 to 15 minutes. For the cheesecake filling, you're going to need a standing mixer, or you can also use a hand mixer. Either one will work. But I like to mix the cream cheese by itself first so you don't get any lumps in there later. Now that it's all nice and smooth, I'm going to add the sour cream. Scrape down the sides of the bowl too. And mix it for just another minute or so. And lastly, we're just going to add the eggs one at a time. The cheesecake mixture is nice and smooth, and I'm going to pour half of it over this crust. And the crust cooled for about 5 minutes. And you don't have to be exact, you can just eyeball it, or as we Russians like to say, na glas. It's not a big deal if it's not totally exactly half. Smooth it out over the crust. And then we're gonna move on to the pumpkin part of this pumpkin cheesecake bars. Moving on to the pumpkin part of this, we're going to add the canned pumpkin. And then our vanilla, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. And I never measure vanilla, I just pour it in. Cinnamon and nutmeg, and I love using fresh nutmeg, grating it myself. It's so much fresher this way. Wow, it smells so good. Makes me want a chai latte. So just mix it all up. Doesn't the color orange make you think of Thanksgiving? Sure does for me. I usually make pumpkin pie or pumpkin cheesecake for Thanksgiving, so this always makes me in a Thanksgiving mood. Okay, that's it. Now we're just gonna pour this over the cheesecake mixture, and it's ready to go in the oven. The pumpkin cheesecake bars baked for 40 minutes, and then I checked them by shaking the pan a little, and they still jiggled a little in the center, which is exactly what I was looking for, because the pumpkin cheesecake bars are still gonna continue to cook even after the oven is turned off. So another trick I have is to prop the oven door open and leave the pumpkin cheesecake bars in the oven until they completely cool off. Sudden temperature changes are another thing that make cheesecakes crack. So by leaving them in there, they gradually cool off and hopefully don't crack as much as they would otherwise. So by not overcooking and leaving the oven door open, you're gonna have beautiful cheesecake bars ready for you to slice into. So I cut the pumpkin cheesecake into bars, and now I'm ready for my favorite part of the whole process, trying it, of course. If you're serving this for a party, then you can serve it with whipped cream and caramel sauce, but you know what? I just can't wait to try it, so I'm just gonna dig right in. It's so creamy, smooth, and luscious. I love it. I love cheesecakes of all kinds, and pumpkin has got to be one of my favorites, especially this time of year. I love the flavors of pumpkin and cheesecake, and this one is extra tender, and I think it's the addition of the sour cream that does the trick. It's the perfect thing to have at your Thanksgiving dinner.